So she's gonna make like ramen noodles, but these ramen noodles are kind of special in that, well, she's adding this like whole wheat flour, whole wheat flour to like regular, like standard, like wheat flour that's used for ramen noodles. So this is a Richmond Gold machine, and now this machine is available. We ship it anywhere in the world, and then we got a CE mark on it, and it's a NSF UL CSA certified. So some customers in the United States are using it already. And it's got this 10 kilograms mixer, and that means you can make dough up to 10 kilograms of flour, right, at the time, and then you're adding liquid on top of it. So at maximum, you may be making 14 kilograms of dough. And so this is ramen noodles, and then we talked about, right? So it's got like cancer in it, in the water. It's a liquid ingredients. So this machine, like, it's all like touch panel, and and then and then she added the liquid, right, to the mixer lid. Mixer lid has these holes, like kind of small holes, and then these holes like allow this liquid to drip through and add it to the flour a little by little. This allows that dough to be hydrated, like kind of gradually, just like for good hydration. And so yeah, it's beautiful. So like we can keep watching it for hours, but like let's start the next process. So she made it, prepared it, the dough in advance, right? And it's the exact same recipe. And as you can see, like it's kind of brownish, and these are from the whole wheat, and yeah, and the effect of potassium carbonate, right? Potassium carbonate I talked about, right? So adding potassium carbonate like makes the dough a bit yellowy, and it has this, yeah, the smell. Uh, um, it's smelly a bit. And so you're gonna feed it, right? You feed it to the roller to make a sheet of dough, and then so she adjusts the roller gap, right? Roller gap, 1.5 millimeter, and then so first round, like you'd have to wind it onto the rolling pin, but like the rest, Richmond Gold does it for you. So just fuse it to the roller, fuse the dough like to roll like automatically, you know, and she doesn't have to be engaged in the process, so she can do whatever she wants, and she's free to do. And so just sheeting it and automatically, right, winding it, right, winding the rolling pin. And so this machine has this safety feature. It's pretty dangerous. Like if you get your hand caught in the roller, right, and like you like that's a serious injury. But like if you try to put your hand in there, there's a sensor. It's like a beam, like a running light. I mean, horizontally, like in the like you can't see it, but like it's invisible. But like if you put your hand in there, like it just automatically stops. So yeah, it's a good safety feature. And the good thing is that like you can open this like safety gate while you're doing the rough forming, like feeding the dough, right? So when you're feeding the like bigger chunks of dough, big chunks of dough, because you can have the safety gate open. It's easier. Like you don't have to, put your hand in, like feed it manually. So that's a good thing. And then um, so the next step like is combining process. So as we may be able to like see that the dough is kind of still fragile, right? Still fragile, like it's kind of easy to rip. So we want to make it solid. We want to make it hard, firm, and to do that, like separate the sheet into two sheets. It's the same sheet, like we're just kind of separating it, right? And then kind of about half, right? Roughly about half, and then feed it to the roller. And so we call this process like combining process. So we are combining these two separate sheets of dough through roller. And the dough sheet like that's coming out like actually smoother, stronger. So it is like doubling, I mean, sheet like double sheets, and what press, like we are applying this pressure through the rollers, and so two separate sheets like combined into one, and becomes stronger. And so from this point on, she wants to start dusting. So it has this automatic duster in the rear of this machine, and then you can adjust the like dusting volume as well. Like so, the wetter the noodle, wetter the dough, the more you have to dust. So this is actually considered like it's close to like high hydration ratio noodles, like around 40%. So it's a wet, soft texture, and it has this like wheat, whole wheat grain, like whole wheat powder flour in it, and so it's got this like kind of whole wheat like flavor to it, and then it's has well it's like when you bite into them, like biting noodles, it has like kind of unique texture, like random, you know, kind of crunchiness to it, and you can actually make tsukemen, dipping noodles out of this dough, and then also regular like standard ramen noodles as well, like hot super noodles. And so after, so we did the combined process like twice, and after that, so 2 times is enough, and so after that, like just all we have to do is just thin it to final thickness, but we don't want to like thin it like all at once, and so we want to thin it like gradually and to retain keep that like gluten structure that's being developed inside of dough. Alright, so let's take a measurement, like how thick it is. And it's going like 2.0 millimeter like roller gap, and then it's 2.67. Yeah, like so there's a difference of like 0.7 millimeter, and it's like, so that's normal because like there's gluten in it, and it's like it's bouncy, so the thickness dough always, it's like it bounces back, right? Expands back. So so even though like it's going through like 2 millimeter roller gap, it's bounces back like by 0.7 millimeter. All right, so let's start cutting it and to little strands. And it's kind of like we use like for this dough, and then like you see that like there's a like silicone place like in the put on the back of the cutter, and these pots, right? These pots allow us to make curly noodles. And put a cutter in there, and right, so let's start cutting. The little sheet is coming out, and then insert it into the cutter, and the noodles are coming out. So that, yeah, curly noodles, right? Very curly. And then, as I was explaining, you can adjust the curliness, how curly you want the noodles to be, and depending on the noodle size as well. Like you can make like thick noodles, then you have to use the kind of thick silicone plates to make the kind of curliness you want. So it's kind of depends on like what kind of um, curliness you want on your noodles. And if it's high hydration ratio noodles, like which is soft, right, which makes noodles too soft, then you can also make your noodles curly by hand as well. Um, some ramen shops actually prefer making by hand. It's like there's some like ramen shop like that. Like when they get older, they start like rubbing their noodles by hand and then like make them curly. So one of my order, and customers like kind of love like watching the stuff like just making them curly by hand, and then um, yeah, it's part of this like entertainment inside the restaurant. So that's yeah, how you can make like this curry noodle. Like I think you can use these noodles for your dipping noodles, as well as like of course like hot soup noodles as well, um, and then I think one thing like one that may be like really good would be like stir fry noodles too. So you just cook them, right? Cook them and then boil water and cook them, and then after that like you just add um, maybe like flavored oil or something. That's and then okay, that's a pasta dough. So she prepared like pasta dough, and then like she's gonna make some pasta too. And so this pasta dough like already came processed, right? For the combined process, and then so she's measuring the thickness. That's about like 2.1 millimeter, and so she's gonna just go right into cutting mold. So she set that roll gap to 1.5 millimeter. So before it gets cut, right, of course, like it gets thinned, it gets sheeted. So that's important. Okay, so first, it's gonna do the this round cutter. So different shape than the one we did now. So it's round cutter, like round shape, like it's more like oval shape, but this cutter is typically used for is like when they're making pasta, like spaghetti, um, yeah, things like that. And then certain ramen shops actually prefer this shape over square shape. Okay, so pasta is coming out. So, like spaghetti. Okay. Okay, so let's stop right here, and then I'm gonna change the cutter. So basically, she was changing the noodle length, and you can make it shorter, you can make it longer. You can make it longer to have, of course, like bigger serving size, and you can make it shorter to have like smaller serving size. So it's very easy to do that. Okay, so and this is the kind of container we use, right? It's made of resin, and in Japan, like these kind of containers we usually use for like actually like holding fresh bread. So like it's called like actually bread container in Japan, and but like we use it like we use them for noodle uh, storage, and this is very and then. So she's actually using the same dough. She's like cutting it like in different shape, like different size. And yeah, you'd be amazed, like, like the difference of like 0.1 millimeter thickness would dramatically change the noodle texture. And, so that's important. And then so this is the number 10 cutter. So like that means like that each groove is 3 millimeter in width. So another type of pasta is coming out, and as you can see, like this is flat noodles, and what you maybe like call them like fettuccine or like other types of like flat pasta. So like you can control the thickness by roller gap by changing the roller gap, and you can control the width by changing the cutter in this machine. So other noodle machines that we have, like designed for like udon noodles, like soba noodles, like they cut differently. So they use the knife cutter that like literally like kind of goes up and down, and then like cut the noodle to strands, and then so that width, right, is you don't have to have like multiple cutters to like make different width, but you just have to like adjust that, well, kind of cutting timing of the cutting. But so basically how this is how this machine works, instrument gold, and because like the height the beginning was like, catching all these noodles, right? Collecting all these noodles, relatively high, right? I think it's like 90 centimeters high on the ground. And this is number 20 cutter, and it's the most popular size for ramen noodles. And number 20 means 1.5 millimeter. And yeah, so this is another dough that she prepared, and then the color is not well as we intended, but because we used what we put in there was actually the beets, so it's supposed to be like kind of pinkish color, like pinkish, like purple pinkish color, but I think well, over time, like I think like the color changed, and yeah, now it's kind of brown. And so when you're adding like different flavors, like different like ingredients to make your dough like color differently, you should test it. You should test like if you change like the color change over time, or like, and then when you cook them, right? When you cook them, like when you make them into noodles and we cook them, then the color changes again. So you should, yeah, you should test like before, yeah, like you should like do trial and error to find if this particular ingredient you're using, is good or not, like in terms of like color. So it looks, yeah, the color looks more like soba noodles, and not sure how it is, but this is the actually most popular size for ramen noodles, and yeah, and yeah, I think I'd say like more than half of like ramen shops, serve this size, this noodle size. But this size is usually served as hot soup noodle. All right, so she made like a bunch of noodles in a matter of like 20-30 minutes. Oh. All right, good job. Wow. Yeah. So basically, she made like 4 types of noodles, like different sizes, different shapes, different ingredients, of course, like different texture, right? Different flavors. So I hope we hope like that this class like will help you guys to kind of think about like starting to explore what's available out there.